I'm coming to you live here from my office here at home. Just got back home a few days ago from my Tokyo trip. I want to thank you guys for watching my videos and as I try to keep everybody up to date on what's going on over here in Japan. I'm getting back to you here. I was going to get to you last night after we got our new prime minister sworn in, but I wanted to kind of go over a couple of things and make sure that I knew what was up with her cabinet and get any kind of opinions I've seen out there coming through out of the West on our new prime minister here in Japan. I also watched her speech last night. It was beautiful. I love the way she started off by talking about the situation we got going on up in Hokkaido Prefecture, as you know, is the biggest prefecture in our country here in Japan. And we have a bird flu epidemic that just started out over there. So she says she wants to nip that in the ass. She wanted to talk about that before she started getting anything else because she wanted to make sure that everybody knows that she's on that. She also stressed that Japan will be more focused on disaster preparedness because of the necessary disaster we have in Japan. We have all kinds of disasters, as you know, typhoons. We'll have landslides, a lot of landslides, a lot of storms, and the big thing, the earthquakes and the tsunamis. So we're a live country, if you will, and we're flowing with disasters, as I'm sure a lot of other countries out there are. But she said that Japan is ahead technology-wise as far as dealing with disasters. So we're going to improve on that, is what she said too. She also said that she wants to work on getting the costs down because the biggest concern that everyone has here in Japan are the rising cost of living, mainly food prices. So she's now going to take on that project that Japan Innovation Party, who they just connected with, said that they want to freeze any kind of taxes on food, consumption tax on food for 2 years. So she's looking at that. And she's also going to be visiting Noto Peninsula, Noto Peninsula, where we had the big earthquake that I was in, the second one I was in here in the beginning of 2024. So she's going to go out there because they don't seem to be moving fast enough with the recovery. So she wants to go out there and see what's going on. And she also says she's going to go talk to people over the Fukushima side with a great Eastern earthquake that we had back in 2011. The one I was not in that one. I wasn't here for that. So she wants to also talk to people about that. She also mentioned that starting next year, spring, because in Japan, the school year goes from April to March, not like in the States where it goes from September to June. She's high school in Japan, private and public high schools will be free in Japan next year, which is good for us because, our son is in middle school right now. And hey, what's up, brother? Thanks for coming on. Ken, thanks for coming on and watching, brother. So, so we want to make sure that our kids don't have to pay for anything like that. So, yeah, she's a right-wing conservative, and I know that I've been watching the views coming from the West, and they were mainly talking about how the women are like, "Yay, we finally got a woman in power," and this, that, the other. But I'm here to bust that bubble real quick, because what you need to understand is it's not like it is in the West. She is a traditionalist. I know the Guardian, not the Guardian, which is out of England. The first headline they said was she only puts 2 women on her cabinet post. She's not up here trying to, push the woman thing. She is a serious politician. She knows she has a job to do. She knows Japan is facing a lot of challenging issues nowadays. And she's a no-nonsense person. She wants to get shit done. She ain't got time to be sitting up here. In the West, the women like to get out there and they like to be, hey, I'm bigger than you. Or, they want to try to ride you and push you out the way. And then what? Right? That's why the U.S. has never had a woman in power, because of the attitudes. Right? So we have our woman. We beat you, U.S. We beat you. We got the first lady prime minister before you got your first lady president. So we beat the states. See? So, which is ironic because they had a chance to get women up there and they blew it. And they may not ever have a woman up there. We don't know, but all I know is that you don't have one. You got Mr. Asshole in the White House right now. And that's another thing. So also what she says she's going to be doing is she's going to be building a respectful relationship with Donald Trump. In other words, the word on the street here in Japan is she's not going to bend to Trump. She's going to stand up to Trump, stand up to his face, and that's what we want. We need that in Japan. We don't need no ass kissers. She's so serious about this that she put up Toshimitsu Motegi. He is the prime minister. He's the minister of foreign affairs of Japan. He was the minister of foreign affairs under when Trump was first president. The first time Trump was president, and he was also working on the tariff deal with Trump. So he's the right man for the right job at the right time to deal with the bullshit that Trump may come across. Because Trump's going to come over here and say, "Hey, I need you to spend more money on defense and shit." He's going to try to throw in that you need to spend money for defense bullshit in Japan. So as I go down her cabinet list, so Yoshimasa Hayashi is the minister for Internal Affairs and Communications. He's a good choice. Minister of Justice is Hiroshi Hiraguchi. I mentioned Toshimitsu Motegi as the Minister of Foreign Affairs. This is the first time. Now, there's a lady up there for the first time. Satsuki Katayama is the Minister of Finance. First time a woman has ever been Minister of Finance in Japan. Then you have Yohei Matsumoto as the Minister of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology. You have Kenichiro Ueno, who's the Minister of Health, Labor, and Welfare, which is the big one. Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries is Norikazu Suzuki. Norikazu Suzuki is a very young guy, as is Kenichi Ueno. If I click on this Norikazu Suzuki, just to give you some information on him, this guy is only 43 years old. So she said that she wanted to put some young meat up in there in her cabinet, whatnot, so which is good. She has Kenichiro Ueno. He is 60. So I guess he got a young picture. He looks young in his picture. But she's got some pretty young people up there. Another familiar name, Ryosei Akazawa, who was also he's the Ministry of Economic Trade and Industry, which is perfect. He was the one that got that tariff deal done with the states recently. Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport, and Tourism is going to Yasushi Kaneko. Good choice there. Hirotake Ishihara is the Minister of the Environment. Minister of Defense. This is a question on which one that I agree with, but my wife and I was talking. She was kind of surprised. But Shinjiro Koizumi, the son of a former prime minister, is now the Minister of Defense. I'm almost done. Minoru Kihara is the Chief Cabinet Secretary in Japan, in charge of mitigating the impact of U.S. forces in Okinawa, and minister in charge of abduction issue. The abduction issue meaning the North Koreans need to get off their fucking ass and give back those Japanese that they stole from Japan. They abducted Japanese. They still got them in the country. They need to get off their ass and give them back. Hisashi Matsumoto is the Minister of Digital Transformation, Minister in charge of administrative reform. Takao Makino is the Minister of Reconstruction. The Chairman of the National Public Safety Commission is Jiro Akama. And Mr. Hitoshi Kikawada is the Minister of State for Okinawa and Northern Territories Affairs. Yes, they have this because they have Ainu in Northern Territories and they have Okinawans in Okinawa that they have to deal with. Two more left. Minister of State for Economic and Fiscal Policy is Minoru Kiuchi. And then Kimi Onoda is the Minister in charge of Economic Security, Minister in charge of Foreign Nationals Policy. So see, and this lady, I believe she's mixed, Kimi Onoda. Beautiful lady. Yeah, she's only 42 years old, so she's another young one. Citizenship, United States from 1982 to 2017, Japan since 1985. She was born in the United States. I think she's half American and half Japanese. I think that's what she was born in Chicago to a Japanese mother and an American father. Yep. So see, so she is on the cabinet as well. So, and she's going to be dealing with foreigners, which is outstanding. That was an outstanding choice. And I also want to say that our new Prime Minister Takaichi is not anti-foreign. She is Japan first. Japan first meaning Japan first for all of us residents living in Japan, not just Japanese, but for even our foreign residents living in Japan. What they don't like and what they're going to clean up are those foreign residents that have taken advantage of Japan over the years. Hence the new business management visa requirement now, where you need $200,000 instead of measly $35,000 because you need to hire Japanese. I feel like the country's going in the right direction. We finally got some meat up there now. Instead of these sad old guys looking, trying to beg for this, beg for that. Japan is going to be going in a different direction. Yes, we are leaning right. I lean right myself as well too. Our prime minister is against same-sex marriage, which I am too, and she's also against women keeping their maiden names after getting married. So, look, in our country, I'm against same-sex marriage. If I go to the States, they got same-sex marriage, great. That's in the U.S. That's your thing. But this is Japan. Each and every country has to be able to exercise the laws and rules and customs the way they choose to. And what we want people to understand is with this whole setup going, when you come to Japan, you are in Japan and you have to abide by Japanese law and Japanese way of things. We don't need you walking around here visiting Japan and defecating over here or destroying our country like these idiots are doing now, writing graffiti on the bamboo forest in Kyoto, which the dumbasses don't understand that when you write on the bamboo tree, it's permanently damaged. Do not heal. They cannot heal. They are shoots. They are basically giant shoots. They cannot heal themselves like a tree. So I don't understand why these idiots are coming over here. They wrote on over 300 bamboo trees that they can get a hold of, and that's really not going to help the system at all. They're going to end up eventually cutting those trees down, and they will eventually end up banning people from going to the bamboo forest. May even get to the point where they're going to charge you and limit the amount of visitors that go there, which I'm in agreement with. Okay, I'm going to get to the chats. I'm going to read the chats after I finish talking here. So that's what's going on. So like I said before, guys, I got the news. I keep up on what's going on in Japan. Honestly, I've never been this involved in Japanese politics, but I can feel the sense that Japan is getting ready to make some positive moves that's going to put our country forward in the right direction. I'm really looking forward to how she interacts with Donald Trump when he comes over here next week, and how they're going to talk. And I know she's going to go out there. She, like I said, full force. She's no nonsense. She's not going to let Trump come over here and just push us around, because that ain't going to fucking happen. Okay? We definitely need that military assistance from the States. But at the same time, we also need to make sure that Japan is right on point with what she has to do, what she like to do. So I wanted to say that. So let me see here. Let me just go back here. So she had the speaker said she had the speech. She had questions last night. They were asking some pretty good questions. She has some pretty good answers for them. She wants to move. She wants to get things done. She wants to start moving right away. Everybody over here right now is concerned with the Bank of Japan's moves. What are they going to do? Because she wants monetary easing. So what is they going to do? They got to see how they're going to interact with the Bank of Japan. And keep in mind, she's not a majority party leader. She has to also, acquiesce to some of these other parties out there to get bills passed. So we're going to see how that goes. It's always sounds smooth, but now that she's in office, okay, how are things really going to go? How are things really going to go? And we're going to be keeping abreast of that. I can tell you, though, that to all my foreign friends that live in Japan and are watching this, no need to worry. No need to worry. You're not going anywhere. As long as you are contributing to Japanese society and you're doing the thing and you're a law-abiding citizen here, you have no reason to worry. She's not going to all of a sudden kick people out. But what they are going to do is, I read on this thing in the Japanese news yesterday or the other day, they are going to limit the number of foreigners going forward that can live in Japan. They are going to limit that. They're also going to be looking at the property that, when you buy over a certain acres, like 10,000, I think 10,000 acres of land or whatever, I forgot what it was. They look at you and they want to know why you're buying that land. They're going to be looking at that tight. Now, you regular guys that like me just bought a few square foot of land next to the land I own now. They're not going to worry about that, right? They're not going to worry about that at all. I bought that land next to the land that my father-in-law ceded over to my wife and I, because I needed to build this bigger house I live in. So, and I wanted to have some space on my land. So that's what happened with that. But Yeah, so those people don't have to worry about it at all. You're gonna be fine, no problem. So let me get back. Let me get to the chats now that I got that information out the way. I'm gonna scroll up here. Let me see if I can go to my site actually and see if I can do it without making this sound too weird. Turn this volume down and see if I can get to see my chats here as the video is live right now, because I can see a bigger, I can see a better video, a bigger on my pad here. Let's see. I want to see a live chat here. See what's going on. Oh, I know what I can do. I can go here. Here we go. I just go into my other accounts. And I want to thank you guys too for going on to my. I noticed my IG starting to blow up. Thanks a lot, guys, for going on my IG. I really appreciate that. Trying to get this up here. I really appreciate that, guys. Okay, here we go. So I got the chats up. So, all right. So yeah, Ty Cam, thanks a lot, brother. Try Cam, I see you got a lot of stuff going on. 702, what's up, brother? Nice to see you back up here. 702 says, and I'm just reading these off just in case people can't see the chats. Big OG, what's up? Is it fair to say traditional politicians don't change anything for the people? I think having a business person or entrepreneur run the country, actually creates changes. Actually, the traditional politicians have done a lot in Japan. It's just that when things don't get done, they may not have the necessary number of seats to push their agenda through. That's what I've seen in Japan. Chris Barnes, what's up? Thank you for always supporting. Chris says, hey, BSP, would love to watch, but I got to go to bed. Yes, get some sleep, brother. I know in the U.S. right now, it's 2:38 in the afternoon here in Japan. And that means on the East Coast, it's 1:38 in the morning. Yeah, go to sleep, get some sleep, brother. I know you're on the East Coast. 702, once again, says, title, Kono actually had policies that would have changed Japan, moving it in a new or fresh direction. I feel like she's just a face, a feel-good story. I don't think so, 702. I think she's going to do a lot more than what we think, because she's a hardline conservative. She's hawkish on China. She wants to build out the Japanese military, so she wants to alter the Article 9 in the Constitution of Japan. So that's why she really wants to get out there. She wants to put Japan back in the true face of the world. She feels like Japan has not been able to do that since Abe passed away, because we've had so many different issues. So she wants to get that out there. Next one, 702 says, the only advantage she has over the previous PM is that they had to deal with the COVID, border closures, and other nonsense. Let's see if she can fix the yen a bit. That's what matters around here. Yeah, let's see what she can do on that. Bond Swings, thanks for coming on. Bond Swings says, limiting foreigners is silly when the immigration policy is already conservative. Yeah, it is, but I think Bonds, what they really want to say is not necessarily limit foreigners. They do want to limit foreigners, but they want to limit the bullshit. And sometimes when things get translated over, they don't come out the way that they want them to come out in Japan. I think what they want to do is they want to weed out the bullshit. There's too many foreigners right now taking advantage of our country, and they want to weed those people out. So I think that's mainly more what we're referring to. Shaq Fu, what's up? Oh yeah, I still gotta follow up the IG. Thanks, brother. Yes, no problem. Thanks, appreciate it. AD, how's it going, BSP San? Thanks, brother. What's up, AD San? I'm good, man. Thanks for coming on the channel, brother. So, yeah, I'm just giving everybody an update on now that we got our new prime minister. Everybody's excited. I know you can tell by the market. The Nikkei is kicking ass right now. In fact, let me check the Nikkei and see what's up. Nikkei should be doing really well. I know that it broke a record the other day. You can always tell how people feel by just looking at the market. I myself have a few things. I own a few positions on the Nikkei that are doing quite well for me. Right now, the Nikkei is down 45 points. It's at 49,270, which is amazing. Well, this is dropped to 242, which is amazing. So, you know, I remember when I was here in 85, the Nikkei was like 38,000. They was like, wow, that's high. But we are 49,000. We hit 50,000 for a minute yesterday. This is crazy. They're saying the 52-week high is 49,945, which is pretty high for the Nikkei. So the market is optimistic about Takaichi. They believe that she will be able to get her things passed through. She also mentioned how she wants to put up subsidies to keep us from paying high electric bills in the wintertime. Because in Japan, your electric bill goes up in the wintertime because you're trying to heat your homes, or the summertime because you're trying to cool your homes down. So that's normally what happens here in Japan. I don't have that problem in my house, no matter what, because let's go to live chat. I don't have that problem because our house, the way we built it, is the builder told us that no matter what, it will not drop below 18 degrees Celsius in our house. No matter what, no matter which room you stand in, it will always be at no less than. So if we didn't turn our power on, our temperature in our house will be 18 degrees in the wintertime, no less than that, which is nice. I usually run my systems at about 21, 22 degrees Celsius. Just put it on GEO in the winter, and it feels quite comfortable in my house. So I don't have that problem. But a lot of the older homes and the homes that are poorly insulated, that where they have heat and or air conditioning escaping their homes, yeah, those guys got some serious issues. So Bond Swing says, why doesn't Japan have a relationship visa like Australia? I get separated from my Japanese fiance during COVID. Oh, you got because of borders closure. Yeah, I know they don't have that. No, they don't. They're not that generous when it comes to immigration. Sorry, in Japan. No, and I'm thinking about myself when me and my wife got our fiance visa done more than 18 years ago, because we've been married over 18 years now. And I'm so lucky now that I think about that. I never had to deal with that shit like a COVID, because I would have went nuts, man, if I had to wait longer for her or not knowing when she's going to be able to come to the States and I can't get to Japan. That would have drove me crazy. So, yeah, unfortunately, they don't have that. That's why what you do is when you do paperwork, you do it quick, man. You always make sure you get your paperwork done fast, because you don't know, people be changing their mind left and right. You don't know what the hell's going to happen. People always change their mind. Government systems always change their mind. So yeah, I'd make sure I got that done out the way pretty fast. So yeah, that's what we got going on, guys. We got this big new change going on in Japan. Bright new future coming up for us here. I was reading about stuff in the States, man. I'm not too happy about things going on in the States right now. You got the No Kings protest out there, because that motherfucker's not a king. Trust me, but he's acting like it. You got those out there. You got a lot of issues. Got costs of living going up. But guess what? The renters, man, the landowners are getting screwed now about goddamn time, because they got greedy with those overpriced apartments in these different cities like Austin, Seattle, San Francisco, New York, Dallas, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Boise, Idaho even. They were jacking people on the prices, man, and they wasn't even getting a reach around. And now they're begging for you, oh, please come stay with us, please, we'll give you $2,000 in gift cards, free parking, and 3 months free rent, oh, come on over. But the problem with all that, guys, is that you're renting out of empty buildings now. There's a lot of empty apartment buildings, because they overbuilt in these cities like Atlanta and these places. They overbuilt Miami. They overbuilt. And plus with Florida, with that new anti-fall law, after they had that big condominium just fell down back in 21, people are staying away from buying condos now too, because you don't know what's going to happen. Buying a condo, I've owned a condo in Seattle, but I owned it in like a 5-story building. But if you buy a condo like in a giant high-rise, man, you are responsible. You and your neighbors got to contribute to those costs. Some HOA associations, what they will do is they will grab the cost, collect the cost as every month. And some will, okay, we got a little bit put aside, which is never enough. And then when something happened, where you need to get the roof fixed, or like that building coming down, some shit, guess what? You got to write that big ass check, each and every one of you, to get those repairs done. So I wouldn't recommend that. So now I'm looking at the Shack Food. So 702 also said, yeah, $88 for a loaf of bread. 702 said, hopefully Takaichi fixes the yen soon. I think 130 to 138 is a sweet spot. Yeah. 130 to 138 is good, but I think for me, I would like to see the yen. I mean, I love the yen right now, but I'm okay with it at 110 because I know at 110 I ain't gotta worry about all these tourists coming over here because they'll just freeze in their track. Bam. Will it go back to 110? I don't think it will. I think that there's too many people over here making money off these tourists, so they're not gonna be sending that thing back to 110 no time soon. Let's see. Shaq Fu says, hell yeah, my fucking rent went up too. A lot of military folks moved out. Yeah, they don't be fucking around. I mean, when rent was going up, and it still depends on where you live. So I'm not saying that everybody's lowering rent, but depending on where you live, they can be jacking your shit up still too. It's crazy. But the sad thing is these cities I mentioned earlier about the rent, now you go to those cities like Phoenix and them, and you see a lot of empty ass buildings, man. It sucks when you see some empty buildings when you're supposed to have some people in there. Because the people are not renting as much anymore, or they overbuilt. Now these retail like outlets, like the restaurants, cafes, coffee shops, bars, a lot of those places are starting to close now or change their hour or alter their hours or close because they don't have the bodies. Because when you build an apartment building, right, you fill it up. I've seen this in Seattle. First floor, what they do, they got a bar, they got a Starbucks, they got a dry cleaning place, those kind of businesses, right? So you build a big apartment building. Now you got like what, 100 families moving up in there, plus singles. So you got a lot of people moving up in there. So guess what? Like I've seen in this Squad, Washington, you go down on the first floor, you got the pizza restaurant. Oh, wood fried pizza, and they're making wood fried pizza, and all the people in the apartment building can smell it. So they come down, they start buying it. That's where a lot of those people get their business from. You got the coffee shop across the street in another apartment building complex. Everybody's like, yeah, man, let's go to get some coffee. So people pretty much, when they come home to their apartment in these affluent cities like Seattle, Bellevue, Washington, and then Austin, Texas, these places, they don't really want to go out much. So the first thing you look for if they go home, where's that happy hour? Oh yeah, there's Buc-ee's downstairs, or Buc-ee across the street at the next apartment building, or Johnny's over here, or whatever. They all have their. AD says in Oakland, my rent went from $875 to almost $2,000 in less than 10 years. Got out of there though. Yeah, of course, brother. You talking about $875 to $2,000, and here's the problem, guys, with that too. Is when you're on a fixed income, when you're elderly on a fixed income, you're fucked. I saw this shit on YouTube. You actually have a lot of people in their 70s living out of their fucking cars. Yeah, living out of their car. You know how dangerous it is for a 70-year-old woman to be living out of her car by herself? Anybody can come up and jack her. They just go around, knock on the window with a gun. Boom, boom, bitch, open up. And they robbing. They taking it. Of course, if she's armed, she's pointing. But you ain't gonna reach your gun that fast, right? The person that reaches the gun first is the winner. So if you get the gun pulled on, you might as well raise your hands because you can't reach for shit. You go reach and you get shot. Simple as that. So a lot of those people are living in their cars. And 702 said, agreed, the airlines, hotels, and tourist attractions want a weekend. They do want a weekend. They do. Of course they do because they're greedy. They like to keep getting their money in. And what's going on, and two, and I just paid this shit for the first time, guys. I was going to tell you. The last time when I stayed in Tokyo last week for 3 nights at the Hotel My Stays up there in Akasaka. And I paid, like I said, they fucking took money out of my credit card back in September. And so I get there and I'm checking in, I'm filling out, I gave her my driver's license because I ain't got to bring a passport, I live here. I wrote my name and all the address and shit. And then she says, okay, now I need 600 yen. I was like, well, what do you need this for? But I had forgotten that the Tokyo government passed some sort of extra tax for hotels. So now you got to pay like 200, I think it's 200 yen a night on top of the bullshit. See? So they're starting to figure out they're going to start taking more money from tourists, guys. So 702 said, agreed, the airlines. Oh, yeah, I'll just talk about that. 702 also says, so many Japanese companies that cater to the tourists have become filthy rich. 5 years of the yen being 140 or higher. Yes, and also Chinese businesses too. So there's a lot of companies over here, Chinese companies coming over here and invest in Japan legally, and they are making money. they're these international hotel chains who are not owned by Japanese, like the Hyatt, things of that nature. They're making a lot of money too, and they hire Japanese, but they're just making a killing now because so many tourists are coming over. So what we would like to see on Takaichi's side, the new prime minister, she's gonna nip that in the ass. She's gonna be like, well, wait, we need to figure this out because Japanese gotta get paid first. So, okay, Bonds Swing said, BSP, do you think the future of living in Japan is finding a rural area that's peaceful and visiting the bigger cities as domestic tourists? Yes, yes, man, I do. That's funny thing. Funny thing, Bond Swings. That's me, brother. That's me. I live in a city of 180,000 people. I love it. I absolutely love it. You can see the trees outside my house. I got trees all around my house. I don't have any neighbors around me. The closest neighbor is just down the street, across the street. Then I got a neighbor cat a corner from my backyard that I can look around the corner down the street. And then I got 6 other homes further up, going around the bend, going up toward the ski area. And that's it. But my direct home area, right across the street, all you see are big pine trees and bamboo shoots. And here you see more deciduous trees and pine trees. And I'm just loving it, man. I don't have anybody touching me. I can play my music as loud as I want. Nobody's gonna be able to hear it. Yeah. And if you're gonna do that rural thing, make sure you're close to a Shinkansen station like me. I'm only a 10-minute drive from my Shinkansen station. My wife drops me off, or I get a taxi, whatever the case may be. And I walk up the steps, 20 minutes, I'm on the train or less. I try to get to the station 20 minutes from a train leave. I'm on the train. I'm heading to Tokyo. 2 hours, boom, I'm in Tokyo. Oh, shit. So a lot of times when I travel in Japan, like hit Tokyo or Kobe, I don't really feel like I left my house. I feel like, oh, yeah, I'm still home, just having fun. So, yeah, I highly recommend that. Bond Swing says, exactly, I've yet to hear ANA or JAO complain about unruly travelers. They want that. Yeah, exactly. They want the international money. Yes, they do. They do want the international money. Yes, they do. So, but yeah, I highly suggest you move into a city that's not as big. Like I'll give you guys an example, something I discovered on this last trip to Tokyo. If you want to save money on a hotel, then try considering staying outside the city. Now me, give or take, I like to stay in the city because I like to be able to walk around, and things that I like to touch and feel and hit these amenities up are right there. So if you were to stay like 45 minutes by train outside the city, you won't have the amenities that there's no Toranomon Hills, and there's no Azabudan and Rappongis, none of this or that 20 minutes out. But it's still peaceful, but you won't be able to walk. Like sometimes I like to just get up and walk right across the street or walk around the corner to a nice setup. It's like, whoa, like when I was in Nagasaki, I didn't realize Harry Potter was 5 minutes down the street from me. Once I discovered that, I was like, yeah, so I like those kind of things. So I'm back and forth on that. Bond Swing says, I want to retire with my wife in an area like yours that's peaceful. Right now, I work in San Francisco for the airlines, and I make about 120K. I'll never make that living and working in Japan, unfortunately. But Bond Swings, brother. But of course, you're not gonna make what you're working on. But here's what you do. I hope you're doing this right now, Bond, at $120. And I know $120 is not a lot of money in the San Francisco area. Trust me, it's not. But still, if you manage your funds right, you need to invest to where you're getting those dividends. Then once you start getting those dividends, the goal is, they say, that each portfolio that you have, you want to be able to generate $1,000 a month from each portfolio off of dividends, right? So that's what you want to do. Work those dividends. Put that money to work. Put that money to work. Like that movie. Remember, guys, that movie, Boomerang? He said, don't let that pussy whip you. Whip that pussy. Same as money. Don't let that money whip you. Whip that money. That's what you got to do. Put that money to work. I see money laying around in one of my accounts. I'm like, what the fuck you doing? Oh, I'm just sitting here, man. I'm just sitting here just waiting. No, you ain't waiting for shit. Get your ass to work. I go ahead and make sure that money's being invested so I can make me some money off that money. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Put that money to work. Don't even think about it. Put that money to work. Money got to work for you. Money got to work for you. But no, actually, Bond Springs, did you see my video on what you need to live in Japan? You can live in the countryside on $1,000 a month, brother. And you can. We got here back in 23 of June. We rented a almost about 1,300 square foot house with a small garage here in Georgia City. It was only $400 a month. And sometimes it was down to 390 when the yen was going almost $1.60 to the dollar. So $400 a month. So you can live here on $1,000. Merck, what's up, Merck's? Merck's89 says, hello, sir. Did she get elected as prime minister? Yes, she did. That's what we're talking about right now. You'll see it at the beginning of the video. I already talked about her, introduced her cabinet, talked about her policies she's going to be working on, what she said in her interview she did last night. So yes, she did. 702 says part of why all the tourists go to Tokyo and Osaka is because not enough Japanese airports accept international flights in the West. And that's true. No, they don't. No, they don't. And in fact, another big reason, 702, that you got to know why they go to those Tokyo, Osaka, easily accessible by train areas, is because like where I live in, Niigata Prefecture, you need a car. And I know that tourists can rent cars, but do they feel like renting a car and driving on the opposite side, on the left side of the street, when the handle's on the opposite side from their country? I don't think so. A lot of tourists don't feel comfortable doing that. They just don't. And we don't have all these tour buses out here in Niigata Prefecture either. So that's why we don't get a lot of the tourism out here. And trust me, Niigata is a beautiful prefecture. We have a lot of shit to see here in Niigata. Same deal with Akita, Yamagata prefectures, Iwate, Miyagi, Tohoku, those areas up there, Aomori. They also don't have those big major subways and shit running through the city. I'll tell you, like Sendai has a subway. Sendai only has 2 subway lines. But that's about it. Everywhere else up here, like Niigata City, none of them have subways. So the tourists come into Tokyo and Osaka because they know they can jump on the Oedo line and go from Tochomai to up there to Shimbashi Station, or they can get the Ginza line from where I was at, and Tamaike Sano Station to Shimbashi, or they can take the Ginza line over Ginza from here, Yosubachi line. They can do, Akasaka line. They can do, Asakusa line. They can do a lot of different lines. Tokyo has 13 subway lines. Tokyo has 13 subway lines and multiple private rail lines, the JR, Seibu, these kind of lines. So you can move around Tokyo big time by train. Osaka too, they have a lot of subways in Osaka, big rail lines everywhere. You got Hankyu, Hanshin, JR, Keihan going all over the place. Kobe's got subway. They're not as big, but they still got 2 subway lines in Kobe. You have a lot of places, man. Fukuoka's got subway. I know I was on the subway there. Nagoya's got subway. So I've ridden the subway in Tokyo, Osaka, Kobe, Nagoya, Fukuoka, Sendai, and Sapporo. Sapporo also has subways too. And I may be forgetting the city or two, but I've been all over, guys. You know me. I've been to 35 prefectures, so I know this country like the back of my hand. So Bond Swing says, I want to build a house and have a higher quality of life in Japan. I wouldn't live in Japan on $2,000 a month. Let me see if I can get to this. Oh, yeah, on $2,000 a month. Wouldn't fit my lifestyle. My wife is from Hiroshima and it's inexpensive. Oh, Bond Swings, brother. It is inexpensive in Hiroshima. And here's what you should do. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. But here's what you should do. Here's what you should do. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but here's what you should do. Okay, and you know me, I'm an advocate for this. I am a staunch advocate of people moving to the prefecture that their wife is from, building a home in the same city that their wife is from. Because, I'll give you an example, and I always got examples for shit. So, if you guys don't know the history of how I got my house here, once again, I'll just say it. So there was an old house that stood here for 20 years with nobody living in it. My father-in-law had rented it out to be used as a bakery here, bookstore here, whatever. And then, somebody was going to buy it off them, but they decided they couldn't buy it because they couldn't build. They wanted to build an apartment building on this property, but it wasn't big enough. and the farmers, the land next to it said no. They were going to build, before that, they wanted to build a Shinkansen running through here instead of running a little bit south of us, but through the tunnels and whatnot. But they wanted to build a Shinkansen over this land, our very land I live on. But all these people around here said no, which was the best thing they ever did. So my father-in-law's dad had hand built this old house back in 1963. And he passed away something years ago. And my father-in-law lived here like when he moved from middle school to high school, and he left and never came back, of course, because he bought a house in Niigata. So when I got, they brought me out here for the first time. It was winter time of 2009 to pay homage. That was my first time to see the Ohaka. You call it Ohakamai, which Ohaka means cemetery. And I was on the cemetery. And I was, paying homage to, he wanted to basically introduce me to his parents. So I went there and I was looking around and I was like, damn, this is a nice ass cemetery. Why is it so nice? And my wife said, because we're a descendant of samurai. I said, oh, this is a samurai cemetery. She said, yeah, it's a samurai cemetery. I said, oh, okay. So I found that out. And then he drove down, we went up to the top of the hill where they first skiing to look over the view towards the city, which was beautiful, of course. And then he kind of drove down, and I seen this old house, and he said, oh, yeah, that's where I used to live. I said, oh. And then my wife's mother's older sister died a few months later in 2010. We came back down here in May of 2010, and he took me up to Miyoko, Kogan area, and then he drove down here in the springtime. And I was like, ooh, this place is beautiful. And then the next time he brought me out here was when my son was born. It was September of 2013. That was before, we came out 3 years later. And there was a lady that was running a bakery or bookstore learning center at that old house. And I remember taking pictures, walking, looking at it. I was like, wow. And I remember falling in love with the area. I said, oh, damn, I could live here. So about, let's say 7 or 8 years later, I told my father-in-law, hey, I'm interested in taking the property. When I found that he couldn't sell it, I said, I'm interested in that. So they started crying on the phone, man. They were crying. They were so happy that I was going to get that, keep it in the family. So make a long story short, we got the land and the house. We tore the house down. I bought, of course, the land before all that next to it because he had called a lady that owned some of the farmland around here. Because my house is surrounded by all these farmers. And so, which is why I don't have any homes around me. And I was able to buy her land and to get a bigger building. So basically, I doubled the size of the lot. I was able to buy that land and build a house. So, because, quite frankly, in the beginning when my father-in-law, he used to work, my father-in-law's dad worked in construction. He was a stone cutter, and which is why I have stone on my property. Jade, I have a lot of jade. Believe it or not, I have a lot of jade stones on my property that I'm finding all the time. Because this is a jade area, if you didn't know. This area of Japan is famous for jade. Up there, Itoigawa, which is not too far from us. So anyway, you wasn't even supposed to build a house here. It was only supposed to be farmland here. But he knew somebody at the city office kind of did him a favor, and he said, okay, I'll grant you this favor. So that's why we have this house here. So the reason why I'm bringing this all up is because now that all the neighbors know the history of this property, they know that my wife is the granddaughter of the people that used to live here. And you should see the look on their faces when they talk, when they first met us. They know, everybody knows, in Japan, you don't need the internet. They know who I am. They know my family, everything. When they first found out that that's what this was, they changed big time. Their faces lit up like Christmas trees. They're like, she's one of us. So I shit you not. Right across the street, they got chestnut trees. He's growing blueberries. He grows persimmons, which I love persimmons this time of year because it's the only time you eat anyway. And they grow a lot of vegetables like cucumbers, eggplants. We just made some last night. We just made some huckleberry jam from the huckleberries they gave us. And the wife, you hear this ding dong, and we'll look on the camera. It's his wife. and you open the door, she's got a whole shitload of vegetables, this, that, whatever, from time to time. A couple other farmers down the street give us stuff too. So we ain't gonna buy a lot of vegetables and fruits because they always giving us stuff. And then we'll go somewhere around Japan and we'll come back and say, hey, here's a little gift for you. See, that's how it works, guys. So when you have that kind of support, you don't have anybody dishing you. Like, remember that? I don't know if you guys seen this this brother, and I got nothing but love for this brother. BJ Japan, I think BJ Japan, Black Experience Japan. Brother, he's a Jamaican brother from Canada. And he had a run-in with the police because his wife is Jamaican, he's Jamaican. You know, he have two, I think he has 2 beautiful kids right now, maybe 3. And he's the one that did the interview on the brother that's got the ski lodge about 40 minutes up the hill from me at Miyoko, that's how I met that brother. I saw him on YouTube, and I tell him in Japan. So we hooked up, and I hooked up with his brother Derek up there in Lake Nagiti over there in Nagano. Well, anyway, this brother had a run-in with the police. He had just bought a brand new car in Japan. He's obviously was doing quite well with his YouTube channel, and the cops just came up to him and started, as soon as the cops came up, for some reason he got mad. He said, and he went in his car and just, here's my driver's license, what else you want? And the police all they were saying was that, hey, somebody said there was a suspicious black man over here, trying to take a car. And he said, well, that's me. And then he did a video on it. He was really bad, really sad about it. But you know what, brothers? Where his biggest mistake was, he did not introduce him and his family around the neighbors. That's what you got to do. When we started, before we saw our neighbors 3 times before we even moved on here. Before we tore the house down, we brought gifts, like little snacks, the omiyage. And we walked around 20 homes in our neighborhood that belong to our association. And we knocked on the door, we introduced ourselves, we gave them gifts. The next time we did it, the house was going to get built. We said, okay, they're going to build a house. It could get noisy. Sumimasen, moshiwake arimasen. Here you go. Here's this, here's that. The last time, right before we moved in the house, we said, hey, we're moving here now. Here's this, that, the other. Everybody knows me by look. They see a black man standing outside a beautiful house. They know it's my house. They know it's me. They're not going to call the police and say, hey, there's a suspicious black man walking around the yard doing something crazy. They know this is my house. See, that's what you have to do. And because my wife has ties to this neighborhood, to this land, to this area, because she used to be my daughter's age, playing across the street, running up and down before they built a lot of these places around here, knowing people. People treat us like one of them. Even me. They treat me like I'm one of them. I don't expect that, but they treat me like I'm one of them. And that is, I cannot explain how that feels, because my son just found this on Google. He loves Google Earth like me. And he found our old house in Buckley. And, of course, the neighborhood was a new development now. It's bigger now. We saw a big van parked in front of our old house, because we know that Ukrainians or Russian, somebody with the name, either Ukrainian or Russian, bought from us. They were the buyers. And what do we see right next door to our house? Not next door, but 3 stores down. Trump 24. They had so many Trump supporters in that neighborhood. It was heavily Republican. It was just uncomfortable. Look, people can support whoever they want to support, but then they like to throw it in your face. And quite honestly, guys, I hated living around whites, man, because they always made me feel like shit. Even though they were so condescending, they were so braggadocious, they were so obnoxious in their attitude, their demeanor, bad food, good beer, bad food place, all the fucking place, no amenities. It just made me sick to my stomach, but I had to deal with it. Now, here I am in Japan, man. I ain't got to deal with none of that shit. None of it. I'm free. I can treat people any way I want. Now when I walk past people that are white, in other areas, whatever, it doesn't bother me. Hey, what's going on? What's up? I speak. It's funny because I'm speaking to them as an equal, as a true equal. In the States, even though I knew I was equal, I always felt like they didn't treat me equal. Now, I'm getting treated like a true equal. I speak to them like I know I'm equal, because I am. You see what I'm saying? I don't have to worry about nothing. I don't have to worry about them doing anything to keep me from supporting my family anymore. I am totally free in Japan. So that's what that does, guys, if you move in, especially living in a neighborhood where your wife has ties to. I'm sorry, I was long-winded on that. So let's see. I'm gonna catch up with the notes here. Yeah, Bond Swings. Yes, I highly recommend you build a house in Hiroshima, brother. Like you said, Shaq Fu, thank you. You said, yeah, I love that idea. Bond Swing says that makes sense. Does the same apply if my in-laws don't own a home? They live in a condo. That's pretty old. Now, brother, Bond Swings, man, I wish you was sitting here with me and we be laughing and talking this shit up. Look, don't worry about it, man. Don't see, brothers. I'm here to tell you, do not bring in narratives. One thing you know in the West they teach you like, well, what if? Oh, what if? Oh man, I don't know. Shit can all of that thought. Shit can that thought, man. You get to Hiroshima, you look around where you want to build. You basically see like maybe you might have to live. You know, you just check and see. Because one thing I want to tell you, Bond Swings, about this is the reason why you definitely want to make sure your wife is with you all the time is because when you see a piece of property you want, Japanese will not sell it to you. More than likely they won't. My father-in-law had to call this lady whose land I now own to introduce him to her when he told her, hey, I knew your mom. Oh, that was a wrap, bam. But if somebody else had called her and said, hey, I want to buy this land, she would have said no, just out of spite. It ain't like in the States. They don't give a shit. If they don't like you, they don't want you in their life, in the neighborhood, they won't sell you shit. So if your wife is with you and she knows the Hiroshima thing, I mean, I've been to Fukuyama in Hiroshima. I've never been to Hiroshima City yet, but I'm in Fukuyama. I love Hiroshima. The food is good. They got the real original okonomiyaki out of Hiroshima. They're hot-headed, but they're very kind people in Hiroshima. Trust me, Hiroshima, they got some nice people over there. So use your wife's kindness, of course, and knowledge of the area. She can say, hey, we're interested in buying this particular land. Get your own real estate agent as well. Don't just go there and buy from the seller's real estate agent. Get you a buyer's real estate agent too that can kind of check you out and take you and show you places that you might be interested in. Shaq Fu said, damn, that's a pro tip. Thanks, brother. Thank you. Merc89 said, good advice, sir. Thank you. AD said, yes, thanks for the info. You're welcome, brother. Bond Swing says, best, you goddamn right. That's why I knew your wife's from Hiroshima, because if you didn't say that, I'd be like, you full of shit. But yeah, you are. Bonds, you're right. Best okonomiyaki for sure. There's a guy in Nagaoka City, man. We were there last summer. This guy's an avid carp fan. I'm a Tiger fan in Japan. Go Tigers! But he's an avid carp fan. I didn't want to tell him I was a Tiger fan when I was there because he probably would have poisoned my okonomiyaki. But we walked into his to his restaurant where he makes okonomiyaki right there in front of you. And it was good. And you walked in, man, it was Hiroshima Toyo Carb shit everywhere. And he was watching the Hiroshima Toyo Carb game. And he was watching the baseball game, man. And he was cooking up his shit. Right? You see Boss Wings laughing at this shit because you know these motherfuckers are so into the baseball game. And we were in Kanazawa last summer. It was hot as a motherfucker. And was that last summer? No, I'm sorry, because my father-in-law was with last spring, not this spring, but the spring before last. And because I took my family down to Hiroshima, down to Kanazawa. And we met this couple from Hiroshima. It was an older couple. We were watching. It was in this spring break because Koshien was on. Koshien, the high school baseball tournament, which is twice a year in Japan, spring and summer. And they're here at this team from Hiroshima was playing, and they were like, they were getting all excited and shit. And we were just talking to them. We was talking about the game. I said, okay, good luck, Hiroshima guys. Come on, good luck, man. I want to see you guys win. They ended up losing, but this other Western couple walked in, man. And this is what I'm just using an example about how I no longer have to feel like, I'm inferior to whites, even though I didn't try to do it anyway. But really, I'm not. So these white couple walked in, right? And they didn't understand what the chef was saying. And I was trying to help them out. And they kind of blew me off like they didn't want my help. But they actually did need help understanding what was on the menu. So they sat down And I guess they just got anything. But you should have seen the look on their face when they saw me interacting with all the Japanese like a local. They were looking like, and you could tell they were not feeling comfortable about that. They're like, oh man, this guy's set up. All you had to do was throw away the Western attitude bullshit in Japan, ship it off back home, put it in the fucking mailbox and ship that shit back home. Come over here with an open mind and let a brother help you out. Because I've helped a lot of people out in Japan, you know, who got lost or who didn't know this, that, the other. I help people out. And all they had to do was keep their mouth shut. They would have got exactly what they wanted on the menu. But they were so uncomfortable having me help them out, so they didn't want me to do it. Like they were still stuck in the U.S. some fucking where. And me, I was laughing inside. I was like, dude, I ain't got to worry about you no more, man. You ain't got your gun. Your gun ain't over here and all your policies and bullshit. I ain't got to worry about you. You just another motherfucker sitting in a restaurant I'm trying to help out. That's what I was thinking, right? So anyway, that was my experience with that. Ooh, good question. Did he use cabbage in his okonomiyaki? Ooh, that was last summer. I'm trying to think. I know one thing. It was thicker than the one in Osaka. It was fucking thick. And I don't think he did. It was really, really thick. Osaka's okonomiyaki is like exactly 702, even fucking playing field. Exactly. I look at these people. I'm like, you just a motherfucking gaijin. That's it. I'm a Naijin. A Naijin is a foreigner that live in Japan. Like the Japanese comedian said, you are a Naijin. They are a motherfucking gaijin. They're visiting my country. You know, I'm not a Japanese citizen, but this is my country because this is a country I live. If I was living in Mexico, I'd say, hey, this is my country. Mexico's my country. If I'm living in Poland, hey, Poland's my country because that's the country I happen to be fucking living in. You know? So when I lived in Saudi Arabia, it was like, yeah, this is my country. I'm living in my country, Saudi Arabia, because I live here. Japan, this is my country because I'm living here. Right? So yeah, it's an even kill, brother. Even playing field. Nobody gives a fuck. And people come over here and they try to put their shit on the Japanese. And Japanese are laughing at them like, yeah, okay, all right. We don't give a shit what you think. Like the feminists, right? They trying to say, oh, she's a lady now. Yeah, we got lady power. We're going to get better. That lady don't give a shit about no feminists. And she's anti-gay marriage. So where do you think that goes? She don't give a fuck. She's here to run a fucking country. That's it. Like the one guy on one English guy said, she's just like a right-wing conservative male. And what else? What else are you trying to say? What you're saying is that you feel uncomfortable with the situation because you as a Westerner can't control the narrative here in Japan. This, I keep saying this, guys, over and over again. This is Japan. We will not change for you or nobody else. Japan is Japan, and it's been around for thousands of years. The culture here has been around. So, no, they're not kissing the West's ass. They're not going to change their thing. Japanese just aren't that way. Yeah, they understand that they have to internationalize, and they are. They've been this way since the Meiji. But do they have to accept a Chinese tourist's baby shitting on the temple? When babies in China walk around with the ass part cut out to where they can shit on the street and the parent to clean it up? No. Put a pamper on that little motherfucker so he can shit on his own pamper until he's potty trained. Don't bring him over here and have him shit on the street or in a temple and then walk away and not fucking clean it up. You know, I got some tourist shit that I can't stand. One thing I can't stand, another thing I can't fucking stand is when I walk into a bathroom, and Japanese bathrooms are clean as fuck. But one time we was in Kanazawa, and Kanazawa has a lot of tourists. And we were near where the hotels where they stay, where they venture. And my son went in to use the bathroom. And I went in there and I was like, oh my goodness, there was fucking urine all over the fucking toilet seats. And I got mad at him and I said, why did you do it? He said, well, there, I had to do it because it was already there. I couldn't sit down nowhere. So I said, okay, I get it. But I said, you know you don't do that. But it was trash. And then nothing I don't like is when I see they like to leave their fucking drinks on the urinal. When you know in the urinal stalls, they like to leave their fucking Starbucks, whatever the fuck they buy to drink. They just need the whole trash on the top of the fucking thing. Take that shit with you and throw it away back at your hotel or something. In Japan, you carry your own trash and you take it back to where the fuck you got it from and you throw it away. You don't just leave the shit all over the place. That's fucking dirty. It's dirty. You don't do that. You know? So, you know, and that's what they do. There's just so many fucking annoying things. It's so fucking annoying. Walking down the street, eating. You don't walk down the street and eat. It's fucking rude. It's barbaric. You don't walk down the street. What you do, you buy from the local stall you're at, you stand your ass right near that stall, and you eat and drink your shit. Then you take the trash that you've got, and you can give it back to the stall. They will be more than happy to put it in their trash can, because they know you bought it from them. They don't want their trash ending up in the bathroom, because guess what? When they have meetings amongst each other, they talk about it. Oh, you know, Tanaka-san, I saw your trash in the bathroom. Japanese talk about this shit. So that's why you need to know how things work in Japan. When you come to Japan, you just have to know how things work. You can't come over here reinventing the fucking wheel, because they don't want that shit. So anyway, yeah. Okay, so yeah, Merck said, yeah, thanks, brother. You got me dying here. BSP, have you dated a Chinese woman before? Yes, I have. 702, yes. When I was in Denver, I had this fine young Chinese girl from Vietnam. She was, she was a Chinese girl from Vietnam. Tall, nice girl. She was nice, man. Yeah, it was a nice experience. And then Jim said, I know you tagged a few Hawaiians. Come on now. No, Hawaiians, no. I never, okay. Now that you brought this up, 702, I lived in Hawaii 4 years, man. I was stationed there, not stationed there, what am I saying? I lived there 4 years. After I left Saudi. I didn't want to go there, but you know, I was an expert. She wanted to live there, so I said, okay, what the fuck, live in Hawaii. So when I was living in Hawaii, I got divorced, and I was on the dating scene about 6 months before I left, 3 months before I left. Most of the girls I dated were tourists. I tried to date a couple Hawaiian girls, and I couldn't believe this one at work. And first of all, she was fine as shit. But turned out like she was a 35-year-old woman with 4 kids, man. And there's no way else. And I told her, I said, look, baby, I'm getting the Porsche 2-seater built. I got no room for 4 fucking kids. And I was moving out of Hawaii anyway. But what I learned about that experience with dating those couple of the Hawaiian girls that I took out was they always wanted you to spend all this money on wine and dining and shit. And they thought they were so fucking hot. They'd be overweight, man, with kids. And they thought they were the best fucking thing since sliced bread. See, a lot of women in Hawaii think they're all that because a lot of the men in Hawaii are very possessive. And everybody and their brother wants a Japanese Hawaiian is 25%. Everybody and their brother wants a Japanese Hawaiian because they're more sophisticated. They look really nice. Their bodies are nice, slender. They're not Japanese, trust me. They're Japanese Americans. They're nothing like the Japanese women over here, who are more traditional and more feminine and, way cooler than the ones in Hawaii. Because the ones in Hawaii, they're still stuck in the old Japanese way, even though they're not Japanese. But, you can take the person out of Japan or Africa, but trust me, those traits remain in us. And so, because a lot of Japanese parents don't want their daughters marrying foreigners in Hawaii. No, Japanese Americans, mostly the parents don't want them with people that are not Japanese. So I'd see a lot of fine-ass Japanese Hawaiian girls there, but I could never get with them because I was the last thing on their list, that's for sure. Most of them went after the white guy with the good government fucking job in Hawaii. That's who they usually married. So the brothers could get the local girls, the local Hawaiian, local Filipino girl pretending to be Hawaiian. You can get those, but a lot of those girls, man, were spoiled rotten because what happens in Hawaii is they get the girls in high school. So the couples, there's a lot of couples in high school. When they graduate from high school, they usually stay together. So all the good girls, Hawaiian girls, are already taken by the time they get out of high school. The only ones that end up falling through the cracks that you may get to date are the ones that have gotten divorced or never got married but had the kids and just broke up with the ex-boyfriend, who beat the shit out of them because in Hawaii, domestic abuse is rampant. These men beat their women. They get upset, they beat their ladies. And I got a story on that in a minute. But they beat their women up. And these women, most women are afraid of their men in Hawaii. I remember one time when I was a finance guy in a dealership, or actually it wasn't finance yet, I was a car salesperson. And the lady came in with the husband, and everything was all cool at first. And so I was trying to do a deal with them. And then he started getting all, she started saying, well, wait, let me see what he wants to do. Wait a minute, just wait a minute now. And you could tell she was afraid of something. So what the fuck's what's going on? Then all of a sudden he fucked up. He started trying to play that fear factor on me. And that's how I looked at him. I said, as a salesman, you try to be cool to everybody. And then Philly was coming out a little bit. I said, I said, wait a minute, what are you trying to do? He said, well, you going to do? I said, no, I'm not. I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not selling you a car today because I'm not working. I don't work under those conditions. I don't have to. Even my sales manager was like, yeah, man, you don't do that. No. And he tried to get up and I got up. I said, well, wait, you standing up? I'm going to stand up too. What you getting ready to do? What are you getting ready to do? He was a short Filipino Hawaiian dude, thought he was bad as shit. And I was like, what you getting ready to do? And I was surprised because usually Filipinos and I, we tight. We get along great. I got a lot of good friends from the Philippines, man, or Filipino friends that wouldn't do no stupid shit like this asshole. But I guess he was mixed with something Filipino and he had some other mixture, Portuguese or some shit, in him. So he thought he was a bad dude until he stepped up and I got up in his face. I guess he wasn't expecting the salesman. You know how some guys go in and they think, oh yeah, I got advantage because you working and I can take your job away from you. No, I got in his face and say, hey man, look, we're not going to do this today. We're not doing this. So I'm going to have to ask you to leave. And it wasn't going to be a deal anyway because the motherfucker had bad credit. So when my sales was, why are you wasting time with them? So I said, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. And that motherfucker, man, was crying the blues leaving up out there because he couldn't get a car. Because he tried to play hard ass. He tried to intimidate, he's scaring the shit out of his bitch. I know he beat her ass when he got home. But you wasn't going to beat me up. That's for sure. Because you would have got your ass beat right in the dealership if you tried to hit me. So already was, see, sometimes you got to deal with that kind of shit, right? But that's what I mean by in Hawaii. So these guys are so possessive that they beat a woman down so much. And the women, after so many years of beatings, finally end up leaving them. So what happens is you get a beat up product when you try to go out on a date with a Hawaiian woman and they try to get everything they want from you. And then there's your white trash mixed a little bit like 25% white, 75% Hawaiian, or 75% white, 25% Hawaiian women who just surfing type of trash kind of women. They got a lot of them in Hawaii. You got to be careful of them. So that's why I never did it. So yeah, Japanese Hawaiian are fine. But Boom Swing said it's the best of both worlds, in my opinion, especially if they lived in Japan for a while. Yeah, but a lot of those local Hawaiian Japanese girls don't speak a lick of Japanese. They can't speak any Japanese. In fact, they were surprised because when I first started going to Hawaii and I spoke a little bit of Japanese and I used to speak to the Japanese tourists, they used to be so shocked that, whoa, you speak good Japanese? I said, no, I don't. I just started, all I knew how to say was konnichiwa and a couple other words. And they thought I was speaking perfect Japanese. I said, no, I'm not. But they said that we can't speak any of it. We can't speak it. Because you're not Japanese, you're American of Japanese descent. So that was the thing there. So Shaq Fu said, wanted an understanding about the Hone and Tatamai thing that people keep addressing. Only because it's towards the foreigners who don't speak Nihongo. No, brother. They use the Tatamai Hone thing for everything. It's against Japanese too, not just for foreigners. And Tatamai Hone. Tatamai is how you are outside the people, and Hone is what you really think. So I'll give you an example. So like when I see somebody walking down the street, or not, that's not a good example. Oh, here you go. If I go, yeah, I can use that. If I see somebody walking down the street, right, and I don't really like this person, or I know about this person, something I don't like I give you, I got a perfect example. Like my ex-fucking landlord. He happens to walk by my house every morning. He's a pain in the ass, but not, just because I don't want him around me. And I don't see him. But the couple of times I've seen him when I happened to open my garage in the morning as my son was going to school, he happened to pop up and he's looking all in my garage. Oh man, I guess the money you're making is doing really well for you. And I'm thinking to myself, why the fuck does that matter to you? But I was polite. I said, oh, thank you very much. How are you doing today? That kind of thing. Oh, great. Okay, have a good day. Thank you. And then I get in my house. I told my wife, that son of a bitch, he actually come over here trying to find out what the fuck we got in our house because he's too jealous. That's the hone, speaking of him. But the tatamai is the face that I put on in front of him outside to keep him from losing face. But mahone is what I really say about him. So that's what that is. So it doesn't make a difference whether they're foreigner or Japanese. It's how they are. Japanese do it all the time too, man. They do. They do. I see my family like, hey, Mom, what you think about him? Oh, I can't stand that woman. She makes me sick. But you was all nice to her. I know, but she makes me sick. See? So that's tatamai and hone. And they use it a lot in Japan. Trust me. They use it a lot. Yes. Yeah. See, now Shaq Fu said he got me. Yeah. So, and one thing I too want to say too, guys, a lot of times you got to understand, Japanese are not just, when people say, well, they're racist, they just don't like blacks, they don't like foreigners. No, that's not it. They're going to treat people the same fucking way no matter what. And keep in mind, not every Japanese thinks the same. So sometimes you'll see Westerners back in the day and they get in an argument with Japanese and like, oh, you Japanese are just like this. If I've never been in an argument with a Japanese person, but yeah, I got assaulted in Kabukicho, but I wasn't arguing with her. I was just trying to get the bitch off me and I left. But to me, if I were to get into an argument with a Japanese person, I'm not going to sit there and say, you Japanese. I will tell that person, it's only you. You're the problem. Because when I walk out my house, the first thing I see if a person comes to my door is a person. Then I determine if the person's male or female. Before that I determine what are they here for. Are they from the post office? Are they delivering a package? Are they a neighbor? Then I determine if they're male or female. The last thing that on my list is, are they Japanese? I don't look at them like a Japanese. I don't look at Japanese like Japanese. I just look at them like another person. So a motherfucker in Tokyo or could say something bad to me, I'm not going to wake up the next morning and say, oh man, all Japanese are bad. No, I'm going to say, no, that motherfucker happened to be an asshole and that's it. And I'll say konnichiwa to the next person. That's how it works. So, Zanato's Clutch, thanks for coming on the channel. So you said, for starters, good channel. Thanks, brother. I'm a brother who lived in Yokohama, Tokyo, but just felt tolerated. Whereas I was more accepted in the Kansai and Kyushu regions. Why do you think this was the case? Oh, man, I'm glad you brought that shit up. Oh, shit. Man. Hey, Zanato's Class, get off my channel, man. Get the fuck out of here, man. No. Hey, okay, so I know what you're saying, brother. So here's the thing. Now, I've never lived in Yokohama, Tokyo. I've been to Yokohama, Tokyo many times. But I did live in the Kansai region. I lived in Osaka 3 years. And I lived in Mie Prefecture for a year. So I got 4 years plus under my belt back and forth visiting. And I agree with you. I like the Kansai people better. I just felt like Kansai was down to earth. They like to have a good time. They were a lot more easy to talk to as a foreigner. In the Tokyo, Yokohama area, I feel like people are way too busy for nothing. They don't seem like they have enough time to communicate with you unless they have an ulterior motive. The girls are a hell of a lot nicer, I think, in Kansai, especially picking them up and meeting them and just on the street out of the whim. I met some girls like that in Tokyo, but me, I prefer Kansai and Kyushu because I've been to Fukuoka. And trust me, they're friendly as hell in Fukuoka and Fuku City and Nagasaki. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that's the case because a lot of people in the Tokyo metro area are not necessarily from that area. And so maybe I don't need to really say that Tokyo people are actually that way, because I remember being in this restaurant I was in a few days ago in Shinodome. I usually frequent this restaurant every time I go to Tokyo. I'm in this restaurant because it's a nice vegan restaurant in Shiodome I love. And they have the same waitress and host are there. So the waitress, I remember her, she's from Tokyo. She's always smiling at me, really nice lady, young, kind of like, I mean, she's probably about 30 something. But she, I was there this last time and I said, oh, muy and she's like all smiling and giggly and everything like that. And I asked her before, the first time I was there, I said, where are you from? She said, I'm from Tokyo. The reason why I think a lot of people in the Tokyo metro area, though, aren't as friendly, because it is, that's true, as the Kansai Kyushu people is because the Kansai Kyushu people, most of them are from there. Tokyo, people coming in from all over the place, from Aomori, from Toyama, Shizuoka, all these different prefectures are mixing in the Tokyo area. So when you run into these different people, you're running into different people from various places. But in the Kansai Kyushu region, those people are from those areas. So they're more local, they're more real, they're in their element. A lot of those people in Tokyo are not in their element, so that's why they feel that way. That's what I believe. Yep, Shaq Fu said people are people. And AD said, next time I visit, I want to go to Kansai Kyushu, hoping they are a 10 again and again. Yes, they are, brother. They are a 10 again and again and again. Yes, they are. And then Bond Swing says, very true. Tokyo is basically New York. These other areas are genuine. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And trust me, you will see a lot of 10s in Kansai and Kyushu again and again and again. Give you guys a hint. Well, not a hint, but advice. Umeda Station. Osaka Umeda Station. My favorite line in Japan, bar none. My favorite route, local route. Osaka Umeda Station to Kobe Sannomiya. Hankyu Kobe Sannomiya. Take the Hankyu line, which is the beautiful, like carmine red, like almost purple looking China trains. They're so clean and in and outside. That then, trust me, brothers, I've been taking that train since 94, and they are still clean as trains. 31 years later, the Hankyu line is still clean as shit. They didn't change one thing. Take that line from Osaka Umeda Station to Kobe Sannomiya, say around rush hour time, and you will fall in love. Another route is, but it's not as sexy anymore because of all the tourists. Umeda to Kwaramachi used to be one of my routes, but no, number one, brothers, number one. Either way, Sannomiya to Umeda or Umeda to Sannomiya. Thank me later. In Fukuoka, go to Hakata Station and just get a coffee to drink in one of those coffee shops and just wear some sunglasses or something. Thank me later. Thank me later, because you will be like, or go to Canal City in Fukuoka at night to one of the yatais. Thank me later. You can be like, your mouth is going to be, Mufasa was there with me, and Mufasa was there, Soul Shader, brother Soul Shader was there. Your mouth will feel like somebody operated on your teeth and tore a nerve to where your lip won't even work anymore. You're just going to be like, the whole fucking time, trust me. Yes, Bonswing says Kyushu has some beautiful and friendly women. Yes, they do. And Zanao's church laughed my ass off. TBH, I felt that Kanto region and women place first, place race first, aka they preferred whites. But in Kansai, Kyushu, and even Hiroshima, they judge you by your character and even nationality first. Yeah. I agree with that. But I don't know if I would say Kanto placed the whites first. I just think that there were just way more whites in Kanto. Because they like to be around the areas that they feel comfortable with, right? They want to look like back home. And Tokyo looks like a lot of the places back home. And keep in mind, they have a lot of embassies in Tokyo, like especially around the Roppongi area. But I didn't have no problem dating in Tokyo. But I know that you're right. There is a difference when you go to the rest of the country. You see The women out there, man, and they're just beaming. I mean, beaming. Like I was on the Shinkansen going to Tokyo the other day, and there was this couple, and I was trying to put my suitcase right in front of them. You know, you got on the Shinkansen at the front of the section, you can put your suitcase. And I was mixing it all up, and I finally got it. And then she was just giggling away, laughing. I said, "Look, I got it." She's just giggling like, "Ah!" And she was right next to her husband. She was so giddy. I knew she wasn't from no Tokyo, you know, because we was coming from Joetsu Miyoko, so she must have came up from Kanazawa or Toyama, one of those places. But she was giggling big time. And I've been to Toyama a lot and Kanazawa. Thank me there too. So Bond Swing says that also that Kansai women are more chatty than other Japanese women. They really like having a good time. Kansai is low-key, better suited for dating. They'll go, yes. I just said, yep, I agree with you 100%. They are more chatty. 100% I agree with you there. Zanato's Klutz. Hankyu Metro feels like riding an authentically Japanese train. Yes. Even the train approaching theme sounds Japanese. Yes, exactly. That's why I love Hankyu. Everything is Japanese. It's like, you know, you just feel like when you're on Hankyu, you feel like you're back in 1930s or 1940s, 1950s. You just don't feel like you've ever left the time in Japan. You feel like this is so comfortable. You're sitting there. It just, Kansai just had that real, it just made me feel like at home because it still is considered my second home because I lived there. Bonsman says the women in Tokyo are lost, chasing their careers, trying to keep up with the Joneses. Syndrome is quite miserable for dating him. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And speaking of the women in Tokyo, so there was a brother that was saying that women were asking him, like, what's your income like? What kind of job you got? How much money you make? Japanese girls don't ask those kind of questions. So this brother was from the States. So if you go to Tokyo and you get those questions, you try to talk to women and they ask you that, they're not Japanese. First of all, their English is too goddamn perfect. They're either from somewhere from Hong Kong or South Korea. They ain't Japanese. Japanese girls don't ask you those kind of questions. Shaq Fu said he's writing this down. Shaq Fu, man, just watch the video again, dog. What are you writing shit down for? Just watch the video. So Bond Spring says Tokyo was played out. I won't lie. Great for shopping and seeing tall buildings. That's about it. Women in Kansai are much better, especially Kobe. That's right, brother, especially Kobe. Yes, Kobe's off the chain because, like I said, man, you get off of Sanemiya Station, you walk out in Sanaichi Street. I think they call it Sanakita, something like that, where there's like all these restaurants and shit. And you can sit outside. You sit outside there, man, and you eating, and you just looking at the honeys walking up and down. They talking to you, they waving at you, smiling at you. You're like, oh shit, I'm like, hey, what's going on, Gray? Hey, hi. You know, like I said, me and Mark were there, and we had sat down with these two girls, and I just say, oh, don't worry, I'll pay for your drinks and you whatever. And we just talk to them for a few minutes or for an hour or so. I mean, you get that all the time. You can see them sitting down there, and they're looking. When you walking by too, they're looking at you. You looking at them. And what I know is in Kansai, the girls look. The girls look, and they wait for you to talk to them. They're looking at you. Tokyo girls, the girls in Tokyo, they don't look as much. You know, they don't. They really don't. I mean, yeah, I'll take that back because I was there in June on the train, and these two girls were there, and I was locked eyes on this one girl. For some reason, I looked up, and she looked back at me and looked back at her, and I stood up, and then when the train moved, she kind of fell on my arm a little bit on purpose, and then she thought I was going to get off. I just got up so somebody could sit down, and then she wasn't getting off. She got off at the next stop, and the friend was on the train because she thought I was getting off. And I was like, oh, I'm not getting off. I thought to myself, ooh, I know she's waiting for me because that's usually happened to me in the past. So, yeah, that doesn't happen much in Tokyo, but Kansai happens a lot. There's not those clutch that you can't go wrong. People watching in the Maeda. Yup. Shinsai Bashi. Yup. Namba. Sanemiya. Nua Hakata. Most of the women I got with when I lived in the Kanto, Tokyo region were from the Kyushu or Kansai. Exactly. And you know what's funny about that too, Zana's clutch? I remember the first time I got to Tokyo in '94. And I was, you know, I stayed at this place called the Kimi Ryokan, which I will always plug. The Kimi Ryokan in Ikebukuro is a really good place to stay, and they don't cost that much. And so I stayed there with a bunch of other expats because I found them in a book I read in the States about teaching English in Japan and where to stay. And so I found a job. I gave myself 2 weeks. I found a job in 3 days and a day, and just played the rest of the time I was in Tokyo. And I went to Roppongi, and I was with this group, and there was a Canadian chick that was hitting that for a minute. Still don't know how that girl got in my room and how I ended up hitting it, but I ended, anyway. She was a young Canadian chick, about 20. I was 32 at the time. And but I told her, I said, look, I'm going to Roppongi to meet me some other girls. So, you know, we ain't kicking it. I'm going to meet me some girls tonight. I want Japanese. So I get into the club, and I'm walking around, man, and Australian girls are pinching me on my ass, trying to get my attention and shit. Like, I'm looking around, smiling. At least they got that big shit-eating grin on their face. I'm like, damn, what's up? But I wasn't looking for Australian that night. So I ran into this fine-ass Japanese girl. And she, you know, she was with her friend. And her friend was on the floor with this other dude. They were dancing. They were grabbing all on each other, man. I mean, he had his hands all over the damn place, man. And she was all over the place. Oh, shit. So we get on the floor. We dancing too, right? So then I said, well, let's talk a little bit. So we were walking outside the club to talk for a minute. And once again, another Australian, I feel this pinch on my ass. I go, damn, another Australian girl. So we walked out the club. And so she said, so what do you want to do? I said, well, you know, babe, look, I'm just here for some Japanese pussy. I looked at her in the face. I just want some Japanese pussy. That's all I want. And she said, okay, but not tonight. We're not going to do anything tonight, okay? Not tonight. I said, okay, cool. So we went back into the club, into Roppongi. And her friend and that guy was like lock and lip. They were like all over the place, right? So the next, you know, we were dancing. Next, you know, we sat down, and then her friend said, okay, I'm leaving with the dude. I said, oh, shit, okay. All right. We said, okay, see you. 10 minutes later, she said, okay, let's go. I'm like, oh. She said, yeah, don't worry, let's get a taxi. I said, okay. So I'm thinking she's going to get a taxi back to Ikebukuro. She's going to just drop me off, and then she's going to head up, because she said she lived in Saitama somewhere. No. We get back to my hotel, and both of us getting out of a taxi. She's paying for everything. And both of us getting out of a taxi. I'm like, where you going? Oh, I'm going with you. So here I am going. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, guys. This happens a lot in Japan. So I am walking in the ryokan with this girl. And we go up to my room, man. And I'm like, damn. Okay, so I'm getting ready to hit this. And then she takes her shit off. And then next thing you know, I see all this blood on my sheet. What the fuck? And then she's like, she was so embarrassed. She said, oh my God, I forgot I'm still in my period. Oh no, I'm so sorry. And we went to wash the sheets and shit. And then we left the hotel because it was morning time by the time. And we went to eat breakfast somewhere. And she said, I'm so sorry. I really want to be with you. And she was from Fukuoka. And so she's from Fukuoka. And then, right in the restaurant, no, not that time. She told me to meet her at the station in Omiya, where she was staying. So we met in Omiya, and she took me to her condo. And she had a dog, and had little doggy diapers around the place. Come to find out, she had owned her own dental clinic. She had money. She had a lot of money. And we were taking a bath together, we hit it, and then the next morning, she had to go to the office. Of course, she had to do her dental stuff. And, you know, I didn't leave yet, but she said, here, look, here's the key to my place. I know you're going to be here for another 10 days or so. Here's the key. You can come anytime. Just stay with me the last. So I stayed with her. I had the ryokan still, but I spent the last 10 days with her. And she was from Kyushu, and she kept telling me, we treat our men right. We treat our men right. The only reason why I didn't really want to get with her, though, because she was dating, well, not dating, but she told me she was going out before me with this brother a year or so ago who was married. And his wife was getting mad at her for hanging out with him, but she said, I don't give a shit, I wanted him. And then I remember when I was with her, I seen still saw some condom wrappers in her bedroom and shit. But yet I didn't have to use a condom. She said, you don't have to use one. I said, you sure? She said, yeah, I don't have to. I said, oh shit. She liked me that much. But after I left, I never seen her again. But this girl was from Kyushu, and yeah, she was fucking fine. And she had her own dental clinic. She was making a lot of money because the last night I was with her, we were in her condo, and she's out there counting all this yen. Bam, bam, And she must have counted up like 200,000. She said, let's go, we're gonna go out tonight. We're gonna go, I'm gonna take you to a nice concert tonight. Is this enough? I'm like, well, I guess so. I don't fucking know. Next, you know, we took a taxi from Omiya to Tokyo. I think she even took me, if I remember right, that was the Blue Note. And I'd never been to Blue Note, I thought, but I think that was the Blue Note she took me to. So, see, that's how it was in the 90s when they run around wired in money. It ain't like that now, but when they were wired in money, they didn't give a shit. They do what they wanted to. But yeah, that was a Kyushu girl, so I wanted to bring that up. Yeah. 702 said Fukuoka women are very similar to Kansai women. They're like a mixture of Kobe and Hiroshima. Yes, that's true. And then you also said Roppongi not like that anymore. 2018 was the last good year. Yeah, Roppongi's not, man. It's not like that. Now you see a lot of these like South Korean and Chinese tourists running around with some European girls thinking they dimes and they ain't nowhere near a dime. Yeah, Roppongi's not fun anymore. And it's still fun to go walk around and look at the architecture and all the other shit. But if you trying to pick women up, no. And then Zanoto's Clutch said, a side note, I just got back from Seoul. It's just another Tokyo, so just sit and stick to eating food and sightseeing, but don't try to get chicks if you're a brother. Even Korean dudes aren't having luck. Okay, I want to say something about Seoul because I lived in Korea for a year. I was stationed in Korea when I was in the Air Force, and I used to go to Seoul all the time. But that was way back, man. And before Koreans got real civilized, it was so easy picking up girls in Seoul, man. Because you had Yongsan Army Garrison right in the heart of Itaewon. And literally you walk out the gate and you go left and you go up the hill a little bit and right around the street was Itaewon Doherty, the street. And it was all nice. Man, I remember it was so good there, man. I slept with 6 girls in 1 week. Just milling around, just bullshitting around Itaewon. So yeah, but yeah, nowadays I heard it's nowhere near like that anymore. It's like Tokyo. It's South Koreans are way too materialistic, man. They want you to buy them this and buy them that, and yeah, it's not like it used to be, man. It's not. Another thing. Yeah, thanks, brother. Yeah, trying to handle business here, man. Bond Swing says that's happened to me a few times when I was single. Japanese girls giving me their apartment keys after the first night. Come on, if they really like you. AD said I went to Seoul 2 years ago, didn't get anything. It's a nice city though. Yeah, Seoul's a nice city, man. Yeah, it's nice to chill out. But you know, for dating brothers, no, I wouldn't recommend it now, man. I was gonna laugh at what Bond Spring was saying about them giving you keys. Yeah, they do that, and the thing is nowadays, brothers, if you in Japan, especially if you're gonna be living in Japan, and you first meet a girl, do not take her to your place, man. No. Don't take a girl to your place the first few times. No. In other words, don't take her to your place unless you are serious about her, and don't go to her place. Because the minute you connect up in each other's places, she starts to think that you are serious about her. If you're just messing around and just want to get something, just chilling, take that bitch to a love motel. Don't never take them to a place, take them to a love motel for a few hours. And then get out of the hotel, they take their asses right back to their train. Okay, thank you, I'll talk to you later on. Not in the cold way, but you know what I'm saying. Do not bring them bitches to your place. Guys be messing up, they bring them to the place, and then they're expecting the women are like, yeah, that's my boyfriend, and she roll up and you got another one in there. No. Don't bring a bitch to your place until you are absolutely sure that's the one you want to be with. When you live in Japan, that's the big secret right there. Trust me, they got love motels everywhere. Shit, you love motels when you're in Tokyo, I love motels within walking distance of you. And I would even say, if you can't even get the chicks, pay for the shit. The escort service is really good in Japan, really good. Just go in and pay for it. You're gonna have a wonderful experience. So you're gonna get your groove on no matter what. And even when you're in Seoul, do the same shit in Seoul. You're in Seoul, they're not giving you the plane, well, fuck it, pay for it. All right. Go online, you find a website that they use, you get to pick the girl you want, boom, bam, bam, pay them, show up, take care of your business, you good. Nothing wrong with it. Guys gotta understand, people do pay for pussy. Yes, I pay for it in Korea, you do have to pay for it. Yes, it is something it's just something that we do. There's nothing wrong with it. Who makes the rules? Who made up the rules in the world? Who told you that you can only have one wife? Who told you that you can't pay for shit? Those are some somebody else's rules, not yours. So why you worry about it? Yeah. So Zanato's Clutch says, so Japanese women aren't insulted when you take them to a love motel? No, they're not, because they know that you're just trying to get accustomed to them. Yeah, you're just trying to get to know them. You know, you ain't trying to take them to your place. And you can always come up with an excuse. Oh, you know what? My place is kind of far away, babe. Look, I need you now. Let's go to this love motel right there. That's what you do. You don't try to make it like an announcement like, hey, I don't want you in my place. That's why I'm taking you here. You basically say, you know what? I live kind of far, but you know what? The castle's right around the corner. I spotted you on the way over, but I want to pick you up. Can we go there? It looks kind of nice. I want to see what the bed looks like. Say some shit like that. And and look, I've gotten away with shit to where I was like, well, yeah, all right, let's just look. I'm tired. I'm just gonna go. You want to get some sleep? Your house is kind of 2 hours away from here. Let's just go in there. Don't worry, we're not gonna do nothing. No, we're just gonna go sleep. Let's get some sleep. Don't worry about it. Just go take a shower, a bath, just chill. Shit. As soon as you get that tub, man, she see you smelling all good. It's a motherfucking wrap. They can't. They have a hard time controlling themselves. Trust me. Exactly right. So Bond Spring says that's so true. I stayed at her place 2 nights, and she wanted me to meet her parents. See, right? It's like, wait a minute. I'm not. This ain't that kind of party. This ain't that kind of party, Miyoko. You know, this ain't that kind of party. You know, that's not it. You know, I got Kay on the other side of town. I got Junko down the street, not too far from where we at the Love Motel at. I got so-and-so over in the next city. I just take the train over there. It ain't that kind of party. It's not that kind of party, you know? And then, okay, so you said exactly, but then Bonsby says, but she had a sick condo in Fusa, and she let me use her car when she was at work. Good girl, but I'm married now. Yeah, good girl, yeah. Fusa, that's where the base is at. That's not too far from Yokota Air Base. Fusa, you know? Sick condo in Fusa, you can have a sick condo in Fusa. Fusa don't cost that much. And you told me she got a sick condo in Roppongi, now we talking. You know? Candyland, yup, Candyland. Yup, Hiroko, yes, Hiroko, yup. Yeah, I'm Shaq Fu, I'm not sure what you said, Hiroko. Which one is Hiroko? Not sure what. He said, oh, he must be joking with him. He said, Bonsby said, Candyland, Bonsby said, Hiroko, you act like you know the girl. Okay, guys, that's y'all got that going on. And it's funny, because Hiroko is actually the most common name in Japan for a woman. It's Hiroko. It's like Jane in the States. Yeah. But yeah, brothers, we've been up here for a minute, man. Oh, thanks, brother. Yeah, I know, Shaq. That's what I thought, because you were coming up with that. I was like, damn, he just named the name. Yeah, right? Thanks, brother. Yeah, man. Try to be real, man. Just try to be real. Just try to keep it real, man. You know, I'm up here chilling in my house, man. And it's like, you know, it's getting kind of cool, man, in Japan, by the way. The weather's cooling down, man. This is nice. I love this time of year, brothers. Love this time of year. Next month, around this time, we may be getting our first snow up here in Niigata anyway. I'm kind of concerned though, because my tires, I can't get my tires done on my Land Cruiser until December 5th. And I got to just remind me, I got to tell my wife to call up Honda so we can get the Honda and then get the tires on it. Because, you know, in this part of Japan, we don't use all season radios. In this part, you know, most of us have 2 sets of tires. Because you need, trust me, when that snow come, you're going to need them snow tires. You know, driving around on the streets and whatnot. And they clean the streets up pretty good, by the way. But the smaller streets don't get as much love as the big streets. Even though they will come down where I live, they will come down this road and do it. But then, like I said, every morning when they build that fucking wall in front of your house from all the snow, the more snow, the bigger that wall going to be when the trucks push the snow off to the side. And you want to come and remove that wall. And that's why I got my snow blower. I can come up with that machine, fire that bitch up, and blow that snow away. And I'm gonna clear in fact, this winter I'm gonna clear my whole front of my house each time. so that way sure I can move my cars around like I want. So, but anyway, brothers, I'm gonna let y'all go, man. This is BSP. Thanks for coming on the channel, man. Yeah, we got a new Prime Minister lady up in here. Like I said, if you're living in Japan, you're a foreigner, I wouldn't worry too much about things, man. Things are actually gonna get better for us if she gets to do the shit that she wants to do, especially when it comes to cross and things like that. They do care about the people here. So I will talk to you brothers later on, man. I'll put my nice thing up. Thanks, Sanatos Clutch. Thanks for coming on, brother. You know, we try to keep it real, man. Try to keep it real. I ain't got time to blow smoke on nobody's ass. I'm not getting paid for this shit. So, you know, this is how I get. That's probably why I can get away with saying half the shit I say up here. So, anyway, you guys take it easy, brothers. This is BSP. I'm out.